There's a specific kind of humiliation that comes from being the family punchline, when every holiday, every gathering, every conversation somehow circles back to your failures, real or imagined. You become a character in their story. The struggling one. The mess. The cautionary tale. I'm Natalie Brooks, 31, and I've been my family's punchline for 8 years. My sister Amanda is 28, married to a corporate attorney named Brett, and lives in a pristine 4-bedroom colonial in Greenwich, Connecticut. She drives a white Mercedes GLE, posts extensively about her blessed life on Instagram, and has perfected the art of looking successful. She makes $64,000 a year as a marketing coordinator. Brett makes around $180,000. Combined, they pull in about $244,000 annually, which sounds impressive until you realize they spend approximately $285,000. The $41,000 gap. That's where I come in. But they don't know that. What my family sees: Amanda living the dream with her lawyer husband, beautiful house, luxury car, and designer wardrobe. Me, living alone in a small apartment in Stamford, driving a 10-year-old Subaru, and working as a freelance bookkeeper. What they don't see: I'm a forensic accountant, specializing in fraud investigation and asset recovery. I make $310,000 a year. My small apartment is a penthouse condo I own outright, purchased for $680,000 with cash 3 years ago. And that 10-year-old Subaru, paid off, reliable, and exactly what I want to drive. I also have $840,000 in investments and savings, and for the past 3 years, I've been secretly covering Amanda's car payments, credit card minimums, and various other expenses, totaling $847 per month. Why? Because 3 years ago, she called me crying. She was pregnant with her first child. Brett's firm had cut bonuses, and they were drowning in debt. "You're my sister," she sobbed. "I know money is tight for you too. But could you help? Just temporarily." I believed the temporarily part. I set up automatic payments from an account Amanda didn't know existed. Her Mercedes payment $847 per month. I paid it directly to the dealership, so she thought Brett was handling it. Her Amex minimum $320 per month, paid directly to the credit card company. Her gym membership, her ClassPass, her Sephora credit card, all of it quietly handled while she told everyone I was struggling to make ends meet. The documentation started immediately. Every payment screenshot and saved. Every text where she asked for just one more month of help. Every promise to pay me back once things stabilize. 3 years. $30,492 total. And not a single thank you in the past 18 months. Instead, I became the punchline. Thanksgiving this year was at our parents' house in Darien. Mom had gone all out full turkey, 3 kinds of stuffing, homemade cranberry sauce, 5 pies. The dining room table was set for 12. Mom, Dad, Amanda, Brett, their 2 kids, me, our Aunt Carol and Uncle Jim, and Brett's parents, who were visiting from Boston. I arrived at 2 p.m. carrying homemade rolls I'd spent 3 hours perfecting. Amanda was already there. Of course, looking immaculate in cream, cashmere and boots that probably cost $600. She kissed me. Love the sweater. Target. J.Crew, actually. Oh, well, it looks ... comfortable. She said, comfortable. The way people say interesting about ugly art. Brett shook my hand with his practiced lawyer grip. "Natalie, how's the bookkeeping business?" "Busier and is always intense." "I bet, although I imagine it's stressful without the stability of a real salary." "Amanda's always saying how worried she is about you." I smiled and said nothing. What would be the point? The house was already filled with the sounds of family kids playing. Football on TV. Mom directing Dad in the kitchen. Amanda's Instagram-worthy life was on full display. Her kids wore matching outfits. She'd brought a $90 bottle of wine for the table. Everything looked perfect. We gathered in the living room for pre-dinner drinks, and Carol asked the usual round of questions. "So Natalie, are you seeing anyone?" "Not at the moment." "Still doing the bookkeeping thing?" "Yes, it keeps me busy." Amanda jumped in, her voice dripping with concern. Natalie works so hard, but you know how tough freelancing can be. Feast or famine. No benefits, no stability. I keep telling her she should look for a real job with a company, but she's stubborn. Brett nodded sagely. The gig economy is brutal. I see it with our Uber drivers. No security, no retirement, just scraping by. He just compared my work to driving Uber. I took a sip of wine and stayed quiet. I worry about her, Amanda continued, addressing the room like I wasn't sitting right there. She's 31, still renting that tiny apartment, driving that ancient car. No savings, no plan. I try to help when I can, but there's only so much we can do. I wasn't renting. I owned a 1,400 square foot penthouse, and my ancient car had 89,000 miles and ran perfectly. But correcting her would require explaining my actual financial situation, which would lead to questions about why I'd been secretly supporting her lifestyle for 3 years. So I smiled and said, I manage. That's what she always says, Amanda told Brett's parents, who looked at me with pity. I manage. But managing isn't thriving, you know? I just wish she'd let me help her more. Mom called us to dinner. The table looked spectacular. Martha Stewart would have been proud. We took our seats, Amanda and Brett at the places of honor near Mom and Dad, me between Aunt Carol and Uncle Jim. Dad said grace, and we started passing dishes. The turkey was perfect. The sides were incredible. It should have been a lovely meal. Instead, it became a roast of me. Oh. So, Natalie, Brett's father said, cutting his turkey, Amanda mentioned you do bookkeeping from home. Have you thought about getting professional certifications? Might help with the income situation. I have several certifications, actually. Well, maybe it's the marketing then. Brett could probably give you some tips on professional networking. Amanda jumped in again. The thing is, Natalie's always been more creative with money. She's not great with budgeting or planning ahead. That's probably why she's in her situation. My situation, my penthouse, investment portfolio, and 6-figure income situation. I cut into my turkey and said nothing. It's not her fault, Amanda continued, her voice syrupy, with false sympathy. Some people just aren't wired for financial success. They spend what they have, don't plan for the future. Natalie's always been like that. Remember in college when she was always broke? I wasn't broke in college. I was working 2 jobs and sending money home to help with your tuition. Oh, Amanda waved her hand dismissively. You were always asking to borrow money. I asked once for $40 for textbooks. You said no. Well, I had my own expenses. The conversation moved on, but the damage was done. I was established as the family charity case. The one who couldn't get her life together. The cautionary tale of what happens when you do UNT marry well or get a real job. Brett started talking about their recent vacation to Turks and Caicos. 5-star resort. Private beach. Incredible restaurants. You really should travel more, Natalie. It's so important for perspective. I'm sure she'd love to, Amanda said, but international travel is expensive when you're freelancing. Maybe one day. I'd been to Japan, Iceland, and Portugal in the past year alone. But sure, maybe one day. Dessert came out 5 pies arranged beautifully on the sideboard. As Mom cut slices, Amanda regaled everyone with stories about her life. Her kids' activities, Brett's cases, their plans to renovate the kitchen. We're looking at $85,000 for the renovation, she said casually. Marble countertops, custom cabinets, the works. You only live once, right? That's quite an investment, Aunt Carol said. We believe in living well. Life's too short to be cheap. Amanda glanced at me. Some people are comfortable living small. We're not. That's when something inside me shifted. Not anger. Exactly. Clarity. I'd been paying $847 per month for 3 years to support a lifestyle Amanda used to mock me. I'd been funding her Mercedes, her credit cards, Her living well philosophy while she told everyone I was broke and struggling. I pulled out my phone under the table and opened my banking app, found the recurring payment to Mercedes Financial Services. $847 per month. Scheduled to process in 2 days. My thumb hovered over the cancel button. Amanda's voice carried from across the table. Honestly, I don't know how Natalie does it. Living paycheck to paycheck. No safety net, no husband to help support her. I'd be terrified. I tapped cancel. Then I found the Amex payment. $320 per month. Cancel. The gym membership. $180 per month. Cancel. ClassPass $159 per month. Cancel. Sephora credit card. $85 per month. Cancel. 5 payments. 3 years of support. Gone. I set down my phone and took a bite of pumpkin pie. It was delicious. Natalie, you're so quiet, Mom said. Everything okay? Everything's perfect. This pie is incredible. The payments were scheduled to fail over the next week. Mercedes first, since that was due on Monday. Then the credit cards throughout the week. I drove home to my penthouse that night, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat by the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Long Island Sound. My phone started buzzing around 10 p.m. Amanda. I didn't answer. She called twice more, then texted, "Hey, can you call me? Something weird with my car payment." I turned my phone to silent and went to bed. Monday morning, I was in my home office reviewing a fraud case when my phone exploded. 17 missed calls from Amanda. 9 texts, 3 voicemails. The texts escalated from confused to panicked. My car payment didn't go through. On Wednesday, Mom showed up at my building. The doorman called up, and I reluctantly told him to send her up. Natalie Marie Brooks. She started the moment I opened the door. "What is going on with you and Amanda? Did she tell you? She said you're refusing to help her with her car payment and she is going to get repossessed." That's one version of the story. Want to hear mine? I made tea and laid it all out. The desperate call 3 years ago. The temporary help that became permanent. The $30,492 I'd paid while Amanda told everyone I was broke. Mom sat at my kitchen island, staring at the bank statements I'd printed. "You've been paying all this every month for 3 years. But we thought you were struggling." Amanda. Saeed. Amanda said a lot of things. None of them true. "Mom, I make $310,000 a year. I own this condo. I have over $800,000 in savings and investments. I'm doing fine, better than fine." Mom looked around my penthouse, really looked at it for the first time. The high-end appliances, the custom built-ins, the view. "Why didn't you tell us?" Because every time I tried to share something about my career, Amanda would redirect the conversation to her life. "And you'd all listen to her because she looks successful. She has the house, the car, the husband, the kids. That's what success looks like to this family. That's not fair." Yesterday at Thanksgiving, Amanda spent an hour telling everyone I'm financially irresponsible and living paycheck to paycheck. She said she worries about me constantly, and you all believed her because I don't perform my success the way she does. Mom was quiet for a long moment. What happens now? Now Amanda learns to pay her own bills, and I stop being the family charity case. She can't afford the car payment. Brett's going to be furious when he finds out. Brett should have been monitoring their finances better. They make $244,000 a year. If they can't afford an $847 car payment, they have serious budgeting problems. Will you at least talk to her? When she is ready to have an honest conversation about the past 3 years and how she has treated me, sure. Until then, no. Mom left looking shocked. 20 minutes later, Dad called, "Your mother filled me in." And, Jesus Christ, Natalie. $30,000, over 3 years. $30,492. Actually, why didn't you say something? Would you have believed me? Or would you have thought I was exaggerating because I was jealous of Amanda's perfect life? He had no answer for that. On Friday, exactly 1 week after Thanksgiving, Amanda called from a restricted number. I answered, curious. Nat, please don't hang up. I'm listening. My car got repossessed this morning. From the driveway, Tekis, sa, pe. Mason asked why the man was taking Mommy's car. I said nothing. Brett Icy's furious. We had a huge fight. He didn't know about any of this. He thought I was managing our finances better. Now he's looking at everything, all our credit cards, all our expenses. He found out about ClassPass and the Sephora card and the gym membership. Things I told him I'd cancelled. Amanda, wait, please. I need to say this. I've been horrible to you. Not just at Thanksgiving, but for years. I made you the punchline because it made me feel better about myself. I have this perfect-looking life, but behind the scenes, we're drowning. Brett and I fight about money constantly. We're $127,000 in debt, not counting the house. And I've been pretending everything is fine while you've been literally paying for parts of my lifestyle. Why didn't you just tell people you needed help? Because I'm supposed to be the successful one. I'm married to a lawyer. I have the house. I have the kids. I'm living the dream everyone expects. Admitting I'm struggling would mean admitting I'm not as perfect as I look. So you made me the mess instead? Yes. And I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve any of it. I took a breath. Amanda, I don't want your apology. I want you to get your life together. Cut the expenses you can't afford. Stop living for Instagram. Stop comparing yourself to some impossible standard. Just be honest. Brett wants us to sell the house. Get something smaller we can actually afford. Tatese. Probably smarten. Y no one. Y just. It's embarrassing. It's only embarrassing if you keep pretending. If you're honest about it, it's just a smart financial decision. She was quiet for a moment. Are we okay? Not yet. But maybe eventually. Can I ask you something? Sure. When did you realize you were going to cut me off? The moment you said some people are comfortable living small. We're not. That's when I knew. God, I'm an asshole. Yeah, you kind of are. She laughed. A real laugh. Fair. Hey Nat. Yeah. What do you actually do? Like, for work. I'm a forensic accountant. I investigate fraud and embezzlement for corporations and law firms. Holy shit. That's actually really cool. Thanks. And you really make 6 figures? 300,000 plus bonuses. Jesus, I'm such an idiot. You're not an idiot. You're just someone who values appearance over substance. But you can change that. Christmas was different that year. Amanda and Brett listed their Greenwich house. They found a 3-bedroom ranch in Stamford for half the price. Amanda traded her Mercedes for a used Honda Pilot. At Christmas dinner, she was quieter, less performative. When Ann Carroll asked about the move, Amanda said simply, "We were living above our means. The new house is more practical." No excuses, no spin, just honesty. Mom pulled me aside while we were doing dishes. I owe you an apology too. For what? For not seeing you. For believing Amanda's version of your life, without ever asking you directly. You're my daughter, and I should have known better. Thanks, Mom. Also, your father wants to know if you'd be willing to look at his business finances. He thinks his partner might be doing something shady. I smiled. Tell him to call me Monday. I'll give him the family rate. Which is actually asking me about my life instead of assuming she ooged me, tight and real. 6 months later, I was having coffee with Amanda at a cafe in Stamford. She'd been making payments on a payment plan. We'd set up $500 per month toward the $30,492 she owed me. I don't expect you to pay it all back, I said. The payment plan was more about acknowledging the debt than collecting it. I want to pay it back. All of it. Even if it takes years. Okay, she took a sip of her coffee. Brett and I are doing better. The smaller house, the smaller expenses, it's less stressful. We can actually save money. It's weird. That's what happens when you live within your means. Crazy concept. She smiled. Hey, can I ask you something? Why did you help me in the first place? 3 years ago, when I called crying about being pregnant and broke. You could have said no. I thought about it. Because you're my sister, and because I could help without it destroying my life. The money was meaningful but not devastating to lose. But I treated you like garbage. You did. And that's why I stopped. Not because I couldn't afford it, but because I realized I was enabling you to avoid dealing with your actual problems. By cutting me off, you forced me to get my shit together. Exactly. Amanda was quiet for a moment. You know what's funny? Everyone used to think I was the successful sister. Now I'm realizing you've been the successful one all along. You just didn't need to perform it. Success isn't about the performance. It's about the foundation. That sounds like something a forensic accountant would say it is. We finished our coffee, and I walked Amanda to her used Honda Pilot. It was practical, paid for, and perfect for her actual life, instead of her Instagram life. As I drove back to my penthouse in my 10-year-old Subaru, I thought about that Thanksgiving dinner. The moment Amanda said she's always broke, and I calmly canceled 3 years of financial support. It wasn't revenge, it was boundaries. And boundaries, I'd learned, are the foundation of every healthy relationship, even the ones with sisters who mistake performance for success. A year later, Amanda sent me a text with a screenshot. Her last payment to me, $30,492. Fully repaid. The text said, "Thank you for being the successful one when I was too busy looking successful. Love you, sis." I smiled and typed back, "Love you too. Now take that monthly $500 and put it in a retirement account." Yes, boss. Some lessons cost $30,492 to learn, but for both of us, it was worth every penny.